How's it going, guys? Right now you're watching some of the Days Gone in the background, if that allows me anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna be talking about Days Gone, my first impressions. Now, this all depends on how this will develop. We've seen so far pretty much nearly almost 2 hours of gameplay, and that's a lot, actually. That's a lot. Now, that's awesome as well. I'm gonna get into it. So, Game Informer released almost 2 hours of new gameplay for the Days Gone. The game looks interesting, but I do have few bones to pick with. Has anyone else seen it yet? And of course, what are your thoughts? So right off the bat, the game visually is looking really solid, especially since it's an alpha footage, and I know that have been a bunch more stuff to tune up. However, there are a few things that worry me. Let's start off with the cutscenes. Hopefully the fading to black for every damn single cutscene is something that they're not keeping it. And it's 2018 and there's really no excuse for simple cutscenes like we saw in the first hour of the fading into black and loading back up again. I guess it's because I'm so spoiled because of the God of War, and I mean, it would make sense, I guess. Maybe I've just been nitpicking at these sort of things. The moments can ruin a good cutscenes by taking you completely out of the experience for those few seconds. More than anything, it feels old and outdated. Another thing that bugged me was how the first choice they gave you in the game means nothing. I too would have picked the option to leave the piece of shit to the freakers. Having your partner completely override your decision makes it meaningless and makes it feel like the main character in the game has no say in what goes down. Now, I get that this might not be what happens with every choice you make, but having the first choice you make in the game be damn near pointless set the stage for the other events in the future where you might be left wondering if your choice is really going to matter. Moving on to the combat, the shooting is looking pretty solid. The shotgun sounds good and it looks like an impact damage is satisfying. The way he holds shots the pistol really reminds me of how Joel handles the pistol in The Last of Us, though without the shaky crosshairs. I really hope that the melee combat is not in its final stages. It looks like there's no real impact damage, and most of the time it seems like his arms was going through the freaker's body and not the knife slashing and gashing away. Switching to melee combat is more personal and it should be reflected in the way you attack your opponent. Having good weight and responsive feedback when landing a melee attack is key to having a satisfying melee system. God of War nailed that feeling 120%. I'm not comparing those two games, just using how well melee combat was executed in God of War as an example. And I think it's something all developers can learn from moving forward. I'm also hoping that since we can find and use multiple melee weapons out of the world, that they all feel different and have unique attack animations. Now, I probably should also include the little bits of details, for example, that we can go into the interior of the buildings up to 99% pretty much every single one of them, perhaps maybe not one or two. And also the game is going to take up to 30 hours to complete it from beginning till the end. And it's going to have dynamic weather system. Now also, driving in the world of Days Gone seemed really satisfying, so to say. Like the driving, the weight of your bike, it seems all there, and it looked good. You have to repair your bike as if you do a lot of ramp jumps and stuff, and that was awesome. I gotta admit it. Plenty of bear traps, can traps and stuff that for the noise. Also, has been mentioned that you cannot drive any vehicles in this game, only bikes, and it's presumed as well. I'm not too certain, but you can only drive your own bike, so you kind of have to go back and forward. And then wherever you left your bike, you're gonna have to go return to it. Crafting seems pretty basic and straight to the point, which I kinda like. It also seems like crafting on the go is simple and non-intrusive, which also a big plus. And what I've gathered, it seems like there are going to be some light RPG elements in the game. Given that everything you kill gives you some XP, which I can only imagine will be used or how you want to build the main character. I'm not against that idea, but this game to me doesn't seem like the type to highlight XP gains with every kill. I feel like the XP number popping up every time you kill something in the game kind of cheapens the effect and makes it feel more arcadey in nature when the game is going for a darker tone in both story and world. I know it's something small and insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but it's something I think about personally. Now, also, this also kind of gives me a nice feedback as well. For example, okay, I have definitely killed that enemy, so that kind of gives a good reason for it to keep. My couple of pets peeves aside, I'm looking forward to a Days Gone. I just hope that they work on those few kinks, because this game has the potential to be outstanding up to par of perhaps even The Last of Us. Anyway, well, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe as always. Thank you so much for tuning in my channel, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, have a good one, guys.